Okay, hi ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to redo this video. I made this video earlier and I had the aircraft engines too loud and the exterior too loud. Nobody could hear what I was saying and people were complaining. They said, we can't hear what you're saying. So I'm going to try redoing it. And they asked me some other questions. They asked me what my system was. Well, what I have is an i7-3770 processor. I'm running 32 gig of DDR3 RAM and I got a GTX 1060. All this is barely enough. I want to upgrade to a i7-8600 and a 300 series motherboard, and DDR5 64 gig would be nice. And the video card's not bad. I don't have to worry about the video card. So that's what I'm running. And they asked me what I'm running in the sim. Well, first thing I'm running is I've got reshade. I only use two reshades. I use colorfulness and I use Night Magic Bloom, and here's the difference. If you look at the sky, colorfulness, you can barely see it. It's hard, very subtle. It turns, if you look up in this corner here where we got some sky, it's gray and it goes more blue. Adds a little more color to the thing. And then the other one I use is called Night Magic Bloom, which I really like. It really makes things pop out. So here's Night Magic Bloom. It's off. It's on. Really pops the colors out, so I'm going to use that. And the other thing I have on is Sound Max, and that's a payware, and what it does is, I don't know if you can hear it, it adds aircraft in the background, you hear the jets, and birds in the trees depending on where you are and stuff like that. It adds all kinds of ambient sounds at the airport. You're sitting at the ramp, you can hear all kinds of stuff going on. So I have that Sound Max. I think it was $20. And scripts and Fly with Lua. I have two scripts. There's only two I use. Well, I was three for this sim, for this particular flight. I use a script called Sky Parameters, which gives you different nicer sunsets, and it makes clouds look a little more realistic. And another one called Water Parameters. I have no idea where I got them because I got them so long ago. But if anybody wants them, I'll write it out for you. You can contact me by email at this address. onlyforbrian2@gmail.com. That's where you can contact me, and I'll send you copies of these scripts if you like them. The water parameter script really does a nice job on the water. It puts reflections of the clouds and everything, and the water doesn't have those lines in it like the default water does. It looks like a checkerboard or whatever it is. So those are the two scripts I use, and that's pretty much it. Now, to fly the plane, I'm going to show you some views before we get going here. We got a lot of stuff to cover here. When you first, this stuff here that I'm going to talk about is for the people new to X-Plane, but people have been asking me about it, so I may as well include it. And those that know about it already, just be patient and we'll get some more complicated stuff for you in a minute. But when you get X-Plane, you have two views. You have an inside view and an outside view. You get them by Shift 9 and Shift 4 to go outside. Those are the only two views you got. So we'll go Shift 9 back inside. And you've actually got 10 extra views you can add using your number pad and your left control key. I think you use the right one too, but I always use the left one. And first of all, to select the view you want or get in the position you want, you can use your arrow keys. So here's your right arrow to go right, here's your left arrow to go left, there's your up arrow to go up, your down arrow to go down, and then with the hat button on my joystick, I can kind of vary the look of it a little bit. See, like that. And then when you want to zoom out, you can use the comma key to zoom out. period key to zoom in. You can also zoom in and out like that. And people were asking about, you change the weather. Well, when you go into the weather, you can change the weather here. If you want the real weather, you can go down here and you can select match real world conditions. And I checked it out. I'm not going to use that today because it's really cloudy and overcast and hard to see. So I'm going to leave it on manually configured. And that way I can pump up the visibility to maximum and you can see further. And if you want to add wind layers or cloud layers, you can just click on that and add wind layers. Then you can grab it. That's wind, and you can grab it and move it wherever you want it. And delete that. Same thing if cirrus, so I want to delete this cirrus one. Delete it. Then I can add a wind layer, so I can add the cirrus back in. There it is there. Oh, that's a wind. Pardon me. Delete that. Add a cloud layer. There's the cirrus again. I can drag that. You can put them where you want, right? So we're done with that. That's what you do with weather. The other thing is too, is time of day. You know, when you're flying and you want to change the time of day, flight changes. Some people think you got to do this and you got to go up here and go back in here, change the time of day. No, you don't have to do that. So you use your Shift plus K and Shift plus L keys. So here's Shift plus K, that makes it earlier in the day. Here's the Shift plus L, that makes it later in the day. So we're going to take off. I want to set it a little early. Daybreak to take off. So we'll get it take off, but then the time will change as you're flying, right? So that's how you adjust your time of day while you're flying. And then when you're outside, Shift 4, I can use I got a Thrustmaster 1600M joystick. I'm using the hat button on top to move around, and I can use it. It's got a twist grip on it, so I can do my rudders that way, do my elevators, do my ailerons. But you can also, if you got yoke and rudder pedals, you can look around holding down your right mouse button, move your mouse around. You can look around that way. You'll get back in the airplane. And Shift 9. Now you have 10 views, 0 to 9. And how you set them up is using your arrow keys and your period keys. You can look around. Well, here's the default 9, Shift 9. No matter what you do, if you hit Shift 9, you can't mess this view up. It will always come back to this view. So while I'm in Shift 9, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a view for you, show you how it's done. I always like to see a little bit of the hood when I'm flying, so I'm going to use the up arrow and I'm going to go down and just catch just the touch of the hood, and then I'm going to move left a little bit. Use my hat button on my joystick to get all the instruments in. About there. So that's the view I like. So all you got to do now is hold down the control key and hit the, I like to use this view for number 4 on my keypad. So hit 4 and I got that view. So now if I go out to the outside view and I want to get back in the cockpit, you're flying with your joystick. It's a hassle to reach around your joystick, put your thumb on your Shift key and your middle finger on your 9 to get the inside view. So now I've got it set up on the 4 key, right? So all I can do is hit the number 4 on the number pad, boom, right to that view. And I've set all mine up, so here's what I've got. I've got 0 key gives me a little bit back. 1 key zooms in on my instruments. 2 key gives me my GTN 750. 3 key gives me my Autopilot. 4 key we just set up. 5 have got nothing on it. 6 is the left window. 7 is the back seat, which is really nice because you've got the plane on autopilot and you're going over nice scenery. If you want, you can sit back here and be a passenger. Look around, look at the scenery, enjoy the flight. So that's what I have on that. So the 8 key is my co-pilot. 9 key is my right window. So I'll go back to 4. So that's how you set up your views. What else could I get into here? Oh, if you're in there and you're doing a flyby, you can hit Shift 2 and the plane will fly by you. Shift fours and exterior view while you're flying, hovering around. So now we're going to do a flight from KTVL, which is South Lake Tahoe. We're going to fly over to Carson City, which is KCXP in Nevada. We're going to use the Garmin GTN 750, so this is where it gets a little more advanced for some of you people that have a GTN 750. And like I say, I got this. This is the default Cessna. Everybody has this Cessna. I can't remember how I got these in to my Cessna or how to install them, because it was a long time ago. But what I did do, which was smart of me, was I saved this plane to my Google Drive. So like, you've got my email, so if anybody wants a copy of their default Cessna with these Garmin 750s in it, you can email me and I'll send you the link to the drive. The only catch is these Garmin 750s are a payware add-on, and they're $50, and they're from RXP. So if you Google RXP GTN 750 X-Plane, you'll find them. And then when you get it, you set it in your plugins, and then you put this plane in your aircraft folder, and you might have them. The only stipulation is, I don't know what's going on, whether it's guys with their setup or their system, but I've given this out to about a dozen guys that have all written back and said it works great. But I've had one or two guys that said it was all messed up, it didn't work right. So I don't know whether they downloaded it right or they put it in right or what, but some guys said they had problems from it, and other guys said it worked great. So you can, like I say, if you have the GTN 750, you can try it. I have no guarantees it'll work, but I will say, if you get the GTN 750, all the new Auto aircraft at xplane.org come with an optional GTN 750 setup. So if you have the GTN 750 in your plugins, you buy that plane and put it in your aircraft folder, it will be installed in that Auto aircraft automatically. So you can get it that way too. So now we're going to prepare our flight. We got to do a flight plan. So first thing I do is turn on the top one, and go to the map, and then I go to the bottom one. I set the bottom one up. It's terrain. The reason I do that is they operate a little differently here. If I zoom out, use your mouse wheel to zoom out. The black is valleys. It's red here because we're on the ground, so we made contact with the ground. At any altitude, if you see red, that's an area that you're going to run into, so you've got to be mindful of that. Yellow is starting to get pretty close, within a couple hundred feet, I guess. Black is way below you, so you're safe flying over the black. And then those little red things, those are towers, transmission towers. If they're red, you're going to hit them. And if they're yellow, you're just going to clear them, and if you're well above them, they'll turn white. Keep that in mind. So we'll go up to the top one. And a little demo on the GTN 750. I love it. You got your radios up here. We're not going to bother with the radios. I got the ATC turned off so they don't interrupt us. This is the South Lake Tahoe Airport. Zoom in, you can get a better look at it, but we're on runway 36. So I'm going to initially head straight out. So what I do initially is go over to my gauges. Now my compass, I set this heading bug, which is tied to the heading in my autopilot. I turn this little wheel and I get that heading bug lined up with the runway 36, front of the airplane. So when I hit the autopilot, we'll just follow that bug straight out. So we got that done. And when you're flying with this thing, I always go on VLOC GPS. I would like the GPS. And when you call, what's also interesting is when you call ATC, set up your barometric pressure here. Right now it's set at 30.01. I'm not going to bother calling them to get a barometric pressure because I can get it off the GTN. Watch this, it's right here. Ground sea level. Right now we're at 6,240 feet sitting on the runway. So 6,200, so 6,250, 60. So I can turn this back to about there. See, it's 29.92, 6,240 feet. Right there. So it's set. And the other thing is too, in real life when I was flying, that's the way I always set my altimeter, because any airport, municipal airport, they always had a big wooden sign out the front of the office that had the altitude of the airport written on it. So instead of going barometric pressure, I didn't have to be bothering Unicom or air traffic control to get the barometric pressure setting. I just look at that sign and say, oh, there's the altitude of the airport, so I set it to the altitude and it automatically sets your barometric pressure. So that's the way I always did it. So now we'll set up our flight plan. First of all, I'll show you how we set it up, which I really like about the GTN. If you back up, KMEV, that's Minden Municipal. We're not going to go there. We're going to go over here to KCXP. That's the airport we're going to fly to. And all these blue triangles are waypoints. And I've already pre-set up my, like if I hold down the left mouse button, I can drag the map. And I'm going to fly over, if I zoom in, move over here. There's a little gap. And you can see it better on the bottom one, I think. There's a little gap. Right through here that we're going to fly through. Show you outside in the exterior view. There's some mountains over here. We've got to fly through. Right through here, there's a little valley between the ridge and mountains that we're going to fly through. If I zoom up, maybe you can see it here. Right here, you see there's a little valley. We're going to go between these two mountain ranges to get over into Nevada. So that's how we're going to do that. So our first waypoint is going to be Ramrey. And then we're going to go to Punic. And we're going to do Yarku and Nipmi, and then into the airport. So that's the way we're going to fly. Now this little valley that we're going to go through, I can also create a waypoint. I'll show you when we're flying here. Gvor might miss it, but I'm not sure. I'm not going to take the chance. So we're going to go back. We're going to set up our flight plan. So we're going to add a waypoint, and I've written them down. And the first one is Ramrey, R-A, and it fast finds it up here. And what I like about Ramrey, you click on it. Well, not now, but wait a minute. Add a waypoint. The next one is where I put my little piece of paper here. Punic. Fast find it popped out. And the next one is Yarku. It popped up. Next one is Nipmi. It popped up. And then finally into the airport. KCXP. And we're going to land on runway 27. So that's our setup right now. And what I really like is go back to the map, is when you pick a waypoint, like if I zoom out, go to ram arena, click on it. It gives you your distance to it and your what elevation it's at and everything. So if you want to keep, let's say 1,000 feet or 1,500 feet above ground, you just look at this one. It's at 5285, so you could fly like at 6,700 feet and you'd be 1,500 feet above the ground. And you can do that all the way. So it's nice for flying in fog, keep track of it. Now the airport, click on the airport. You can click on Waypoint Info, and it gives you all about the airport. Elevation at 6269, time zone. It's got avgas, and it's got fuel, all the frequencies, runways. It's got a single runway. Runways 80, 18, and 36. 8,500 feet long. It's a hard surface. Got the info. Avgas jet. Look at the charts. Zoom in on it. And then you've got your approaches, approach charts, departures, arrivals. No chart for arrivals, just departures. And frequencies, radio frequencies for the airports. Running a Unicom 122.70, and you can contact the center at 127.95. It's got all kinds of stuff in here for you. Preview. Procedures. There's some different procedures coming in here. So that's some of the nice stuff you can do with this thing. So we're all set to go. And now we're going to go over there to Carson City, Nevada. So I'll, before I take off, what I want to do is I want to set my visual or my vertical speed. I'm going to climb out about 800, 700, maybe make it 700 feet a minute. Heading, which will lock onto that bug and take us straight out. I turn off the autopilot. I'll turn that on once we're a couple hundred feet above the ground. So, here we go. With the runway, exterior view. Back inside. Went to the exterior view and was doing the controls backwards because I was looking at the front of the airplane. I had to put my brain into reverse gear there. I use my hat button to look around. Now that I'm up a couple hundred feet, I can set my autopilot. And it's going to follow this heading. And now we're in good shape. And the number 2 key, in case you didn't know, but I think you know, number 2 key is flaps down, number 1 key is flaps up. And what kind of messed me up too is I never set the flaps. It just kind of automatically set it as full flaps when we took off. I don't know why I did that. I didn't notice that either. There's Lake Tahoe right there with the reflection. Now my hat button is There's a glitch with that water parameter script. Is when I move my hat in a certain direction, the water will start shimmying and doing weird things. We're going to go straight out because we got to go through this little valley right here. So that water's doing funny stuff now, but it's much better than the default water, because the default water has all kinds of lines in it. Looks like a tablecloth or something. See, using my altitude. If you get too low, if I get it down much lower than that, the autopilot's going to kick off on me. So you got to watch that too. Make sure you got enough airspeed. And what I did here is I turned down my vertical speed from 800 feet a minute to 500 feet a minute. And now you can see the airspeed is picking up. And you look here on a rate of climb right here, 500 feet. We're still holding that bug. Here's our altimeter going up. Right now it's 7,900 feet. Now we're at 8,000 feet. There's a bit of wind out there. You can see the plane bouncing around a little bit. That sets some wind. Go to 9 key, and we're going to go through that little gap. So we're far enough from it now. I can start to turn. The way I do that is I can turn this bug to about 60 degrees. Notice here the plane is turning. Now the plane's going to follow that bug. About 60, that should work. Not touching the controls, just letting the autopilot fly the plane. Alright, see, we're lined up for that gap. Now see, if I wanted to add a waypoint, let's see if I can do this. There's a way you can make a waypoint. Here's a waypoint. See, I just click on the map. I was choosing Givor. There's already one there. I want that one, but there is a way to add a waypoint. I'll figure it out someday for you. We're high enough I can go to level flight now. We'll miss most of this stuff. And now I'll hit heading or nav, and it'll pick up our flight plan. See, now it's turning towards the red line. We shouldn't miss this mountain. And this is Lake Tahoe ski hill. Back of the hill, there's all kinds of ski runs on it. See, and the only downside to X-Plane 11 is it's got summer only. They're apparently going to be coming out with an update in the future to add seasons, so we'll be able to fly in the winter. At least that's what I heard. And this is Nevada. Now this here, mountain ridge. Show you on the thing. This ridge of mountains right here is California-Nevada state line. So when we were in Lake Tahoe, we were in California. Now we're in Nevada. And I'm using Ortho 4XP satellite imagery, so that's why the ground looks so nice. And there you can see the ski hills. Ski runs down the mountain. There's Lake Tahoe behind. See how that thing flickers with my joystick? If I move it in a different spot, it stops. I don't know what that glitch is. It's just moving my hat button on my joystick. You can see the reality or the sky parameter script in my flyweight lure gives the clouds a little better look. That's a free script. And now we've got over the plateau. We're going to go down in the valley. So what I'm going to do is I click down on here's, we're going to go right over top of this KMEV, which is Minden Municipal Airport, Ramree, 5,285 feet. So I'm going to go down to about 1,200 feet above it. So I'm going to drop down to about 6,500 feet. All right. So then what I do is I go over to my vertical speed, and I'll drop about 1,000 feet a minute. Back off my throttle a little bit so the airspeed doesn't get up too high into the orange. And there's, right here is Minden Airport. We go right over top of it. I'll go outside and show you here. There's Minden Airport. It's a big airport, but it's a municipal airport. They just have Cessnas and Beechcrafts and things like that there. Nothing big. Might be the odd private jet, maybe. And all the people going into Tahoe. Maybe some of the rich people keep their airplanes there. I'll get back in the cockpit. We're coming up close to our first waypoint, which is Ramree, and then we'll go from Ramree to Punic. Plane is doing the flying. I'm just sitting in the back enjoying it. So I'll get in the back seat and be a passenger for a second and look around and enjoy the sights. And there's my strobe light blinking on my dash. What I should do too is I'll go down here. What's handy about this is you can click right here and get rid of it. And I can turn off my landing lights. It gets back up. Look around. For the flight. Okay, there we are. We're at 7,000 feet. I want to level off at 6,500. $6,800. I'm looking right here. 6,700. 6,600. 6,500. Close enough. Level it off. Now what's interesting too is you see right here we're doing 100 shows us doing 105 knots, right? This is what I like about it. We're doing 105 knots. Remember I set the wind coming out of the southeast, so we're doing 105 knots. But over here on the GPS, our ground speed is 112 knots. So we got about a 10 knot tailwind pushing us. That's how you can tell if you got a headwind or a tailwind. The GTN 750 gives you your ground speed, and this gives you your air speed. So we're just a tad over 100 knots, and over here We're actually doing 110 knots across the ground. So we've made our first turn, co-pilot seat, and we're going to go over here. What's the next one? We're going to Punic. Once we get to Punic, we'll turn towards Yarku. Outside, take a look. There's Minden Airport off the left wingtip. Now the visual approach it's not an ILS approach. It won't guide you down to the runway. It'll just line you up with the runway. And you've got to control the altitude yourself. Get it down to the runway by your vertical speed or by hand on the yoke, whichever you prefer. I like flying autopilot with the vertical speed on the autopilot. Now we'll see on here, we're turning towards Yarku. Right here. Yarku is 5,700, so we'll still be good there because we're at 65, so we'll still be 900 feet above the ground. Now we've got the plane centered. Now if I can give you a little more volume on the aircraft. If it's too much or not, I'm not sure. We'll find out. I'm going to go outside. And this is Nevada. Pretty desolate looking. And like I say, I'm using Ortho 4XP, so it's satellite imagery, so what you see here is what you'd see in real life. And I can show you using the Shift L. I go over to the right wing. If I go Shift L, we can Shift K and go earlier in the morning. See if we can see the town lights. That's what's nice about the L and the K key is you can change the time of day while you're flying. Some people have been asking me how I did that and how other people have done it. Well, I pointed it out to them. Now we're going into Emory because we've got to get lined up with our runway. Because if I go on here and click on KCXP and zoom in on it, you see the way the runway's lined up. So we're going to zoom around this way and get ourselves lined up with the runway. And then, like I say, you can look at this. Let me see what we do this way. That gives you a good perspective of the ground. See, we're just going to kind of zoom right down this little valley and then hook right through here. And once we get finish this turn, I'm going to activate I can do it now, I guess. I'm going to activate the visual into runway 27. Activate it. And back my speed back a bit. Get my vertical speed speed down. And it'll line us up with the runway. I'll get down and slow enough so I can put on a notch of flap. Maybe it'll do it now. One notch of flap. Two notches of flap. Get that a little steeper maybe. It's flying from a mountainous area down into a deep valley. So now I can take off the autopilot and I can take over. We're just slightly below the glide. There we're on the glide slope. Now we should see 2 red and 2 white. 3 red means we're just a tad lower, but that's okay. And that's how I use the GTN 750. And this is Carson City. And it's pretty nice. These two airports are pretty nice to fly between. And it gives you good practice between different elevations. You got high plateaus, low valleys, hills in the way. Directional gyros online, we don't need those anymore. And right here, we don't get the Follow Me car and KCXP. And there we are. You can hear all the airport sounds. That's that Sound Max I was telling you about. I think it was $20. You get that from X Aviation. So if you Googled X, if you wanted it, and Google X Aviation, you know, put this in the proper parking spot here. There we go. You can get it from them. Anyway, I hope you liked the video. Finally did this one a little bit better.